Yeah, we might be pissing some people off with this one, but I wanted to get the Canucks and the Red Wings represented here. Because when it comes to these two teams that I cheer for personally, there are some pretty interesting narratives to go around about young, rookie, Swedish right-handed defensemen. The reason we're making this video is because of a post made on the R-Canucks subreddit 2 days ago by Tom Bama. Take a look at what they went out there and posted about. Vancouver Canucks defenseman Tom Willander currently has a higher point per game than Axel Sandin-Pellikka in Detroit. Nikita Tolopilo has a higher save percentage than Archer Shelov's this season. What are the other silver linings of the year? Now, Tolopilo and Shelov's aside, that's another great conversation to have, but I wanted to focus on that Willander and ASP talk. Tom Willander and Axel Sandin-Pellikka draw frequent comparison because they were a part of the same Sweden U20 rosters, the same draft class, and Sandin-Pellikka was drafted using the Canucks pick that they sent over to Detroit for Filip Hronek. Many Canuck fans were hopeful the team would draft Sandin-Pellikka, and some were disappointed when they ended up drafting Willander instead. Despite Sandin-Pellikka having a higher offensive pedigree and playing on a better team, Willander has him beat on points per game, at .37 to .32. And this is where my Red Wings-loving, Canucks-loving fandom comes into play here, because yes, it is true, these guys have some pretty similar projections, and in terms of the path they took to get here, it's almost like they were going along the same path the entire way through. Tom Willander, February 2005, Axel Sandin-Pellikka, March 2005. Right-handed, right-handed. Willander 6'1", 181, ASP is 6 feet 185. They're almost identical profile-wise. And you also talk about the draft year. Tom Willander was 11th overall in 2023, Sandin-Pellikka 17th overall, also in 2023. Vancouver sent the New York Islanders' first-round pick that they had gotten in the Bo Horvat trade over to Detroit for Filip Hronek, which is what inevitably ended up becoming this 17th overall pick. In their draft-eligible seasons, 2022-2023, Axel Sandin-Pellikka had 5 points in 22 SHL games, 36 points in 31 Junior 20 games. Meanwhile, Tom Willander had himself fewer games, fewer points. But he did go higher than ASP, mostly because of the kinds of qualities that he brings to the game. Willander was more of a Charlie McAvoy, stable, all situations, everywhere on the ice kind of guy. Axel Sandin-Pellikka played more like Quinn Hughes. And yes, there is value to both of these profiles. If you're looking for a strictly offensive-leaning player, ASP is your guy. But Tom Willander had a lot of qualities that made him seem like a one-stop-shop solution for almost anything you could need. This is why when you take a look at the draft projections, they were kind of all over the place. Willander was ranked as high as number 8 by Craig Button, ranked as low as number 37 by Future Considerations. Meanwhile, Axel Sandin-Pellikka, he was ranked pretty highly as well, 5th by Craig Button, ranked as low as number 14. Alas, he ended up going number 17 in that same draft season. I also do remember back in 2023, it was kind of a shock that Axel Sandin-Pellikka slipped that far in the first place. I know a lot of Red Wings fans were saying, hey, if you imagine the Red Wings drafted Axel Sandin-Pellikka 9th and Nate Danielson 17th, then the draft actually feels really good, because a lot of fans were sort of ticked off that Nate Danielson was taken 9th overall above all of these guys. But still, they're now in the NHL at the same time. First year for both ASP and Willander. Sandin-Pellikka has 18 points in 57 games. Willander has himself 16 points in 44 games. So ASP has more points, but he also has 13 more games played. But I'll also go out there and say that Willander has just been utilized a tad more than ASP throughout the course of this season in the NHL. Not only has Tom Willander scored, 4 points in his last 6 games, but he also is getting some 17, 18, 16-minute games thrown in there. He had a 21-minute game as they ended up losing 3-2 to Boston. Axel Sandin-Pellikka is all over the place in a negative way. Some games, he gets 17 minutes. Others, he gets 9. He is not as consistent in terms of the deployment, but that also has to do with the fact that he is not really getting as much of a spotlight on a team that's more diversified with its defensive talent. In Detroit, you have Mo Seider, who is obviously the number 1 and he'll eat all the big minutes. In Vancouver, Phil Hronek is good, yes, but there does seem to be an emphasis that this team is placing on cycling through the young guys, giving them more of an opportunity. Willander, Mancini, Elias Pettersson, Zeev Buium, of course. These guys are all kind of rotating, and Willander gets some power play time here and there. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, Willander gets more points because he has better deployment, but it's straight up just the opportunity is different. Vancouver's the worst team in the league. Detroit is one of the top teams in the Atlantic. So obviously, the young, brand new guy is going to get a lot more exposure in Vancouver than with the Red Wings. Still, though, that doesn't mean that one is necessarily better than the other. I think if you are Vancouver and you were offered Axel Sandin-Pellikka for Tom Willander straight up in a trade, the Canucks probably say no. And at the same time, if you ask Stevie Y, hey, can we get Axel Sandin-Pellikka? We'll send you Tom Willander. I think he'd say no. This is just a really good case of both teams having solid players that both teams' management and fans can get behind and get excited for. And for me personally, as a guy who cheers for both of these teams, it's nice seeing them stylistically and doing their things. Obviously, they're not the same kind of player. Sandin-Pellikka is more of a rover in the offensive zone who has more of a grasp on his edge work. Tom Willander is more no-nonsense in a way, and I think that he has a lot more versatility defensively so far in his career and projected into the long term compared to Axel Sandin-Pellikka. For what it's worth, if we go back over to the Our Canucks post and just read some of these extra comments on both of these aspects, the biggest win for Vancouver this year is highlighted in the comments. Silver lining is the Canucks will have the 1, 2, or 3 pick in the draft this year. At least it looks like they are going to get that high. I don't really see any team falling below Vancouver in the standings, but crazier things have happened, so let's just hold it at that. EP25 is a beauty. Linus Karlsson's been good. Public declaration of a rebuild. On the radio, they said Tolopilo is the near worst in the NHL on lower risk scoring chances, but crazy good on high risk chances. That's really, really interesting. Why are people shocked about this? Willander was better than ASP. Him and Lindstein were the best pairing on Sweden by a country mile at the World Juniors, which I definitely do not want to discredit. You take a look at the overall production there. I mean, World Junior Tom Willander last year had 5 points in 7 games. ASP, he did have himself a decent amount of points too. He had 10 in 7 games played. But still, Tom Willander was arguably the best defenseman in terms of just actual play and shutting the opposition down. Different strokes for different folks, you can say. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Comparing Tom Willander to Axel Sandin-Pellikka right now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about this conversation? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.